All right, from wellness to action. How connection creates conservation. People don't care about what you say or do. People don't care about what you say or do. Have you ever felt you do all this valuable and important work, but people just don't care about what you say or do? Pop a yes into the chat or a hands up, just so we create a whole interactive session here, right? Cool. All right. I've certainly have felt that before. You do all this important work, but somehow just no one is listening to you, right? Well, my name is Julia Greiter. I'm also known as the Wild Woman. I am founder and CEO of WOS, and I'm visionary and thought leader in Whaleness. I'm a keynote speaker, I have a background in information design, and I'm officially declared whale nerd. I have worked both with whales that are alive and deceased, and pretty much anything you can imagine in between. So I've got quite a bit of a range of experience. From experiences, I don't even know how I got there, really. Very lucky. So today we talk about from wellness to action, how connection creates conservation. But we could also rephrase that and ask, why do we want to create conservation? Right? Because don't we have to start with the why? Why do we even want to create this conservation? Why do we want to protect something? And I want to take you back to little me being happy because of whales. And it all started here. Many of you probably know this movie, and for many it's probably a similar story as well. You watched the movie Free Willy, you fell in love with whales. That's at least how it happened to me. And ever since, just whales were amazing, right? I thought everyone has to love whales, and everyone, of course, wants to protect them because they're just so amazing. So that was my view as, again, going back to it, little me. Yes, major part of your journey too. I heard that many times. So everyone will get that whales are amazing. That was my thought. And of course, that we have to protect them. But the reality of it, it was mostly, I got kind of like this reaction. People just like, they just didn't get it. And I talked about whales and I just wanted to share why I'm so excited about them. But again, people just didn't get it. So, reality check. That's you and me. Oh my God, I love them. But most of the people, they're really like, I don't care. Yeah, never mind. Yeah. So, why is this? People are focused on themselves. Most people are primarily preoccupied with their own lives, problems, and experiences. Most people are primarily preoccupied with their own lives, problems, and experiences. So, the question here is, how can we make them care? Any ideas? Pop into the chat. How can we make people who just don't care? Create a space for conversations. Yeah, exactly. Very good. Anything else? Just keep talking. Yeah, well, that's certainly what I do. I can't stop anyway, so I might as well keep talking about them. Well, we really have to start with and I have to go back to my slides here. Why do we care? First, we have to ask ourselves, why do we care? Where does this come from, right? And I, again, want to turn back to you. What do you love and care about, and why? So just a few minutes, like have some thoughts about that and pop into the chat. What's your passion? What do you love or care? And why? So where does it come from? Where is the source? Where did it start? When did it start? I love life in the ocean because it makes me feel so calm. Yeah. Nature and the ocean, they just make me happy. Yeah. So coming back to my why. Whales, because back then I just fell in love. When I saw that movie, there was something that clicked, something that really sparked something within me. And with your answers as well, it's like, makes me feel so calm, makes me happy. Same to me. I really experienced that so deeply. I thought I thought I was that, right? I felt the water dribbling on me when the whale jumped over me. I felt that. So it's because we have a personal connection. A connection. So maybe also a feeling, right? But we come back to that. The problem here is, and to quote David Attenborough, no one will protect what they don't care about. So thinking back of our lady, I just don't care. Well, she will not protect anything you love because she just doesn't care. But now is the question, how can we elevate our conservation game? And more so, how do we create connection in that sense? Because yes, the first level of why we probably come here, yes, I have a conservation effort that I'm after, that I want to create more success with. But really what we need to ask ourselves, how can we create this connection for other people so they will care about what you care about? So coming back to our quote, no one will protect what they don't care about. If we keep reading, we might as well get our answer. And no one will care about what they have never experienced. So within that whole quote, who here has an idea what our solution could be? Just pop it into the chat. It's right there. I'll give you a hint. Experience. Also make the ocean more accessible. Yeah. How do we do that? With experience. That's our solution here. So, experience equals feelings. Experience equals feelings. And coming back to our why, it makes me feel calm, it makes me feel happy, right? Because we have this personal connection. So, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Beautiful quote by Maya Angelou, and so true. So make people feel. All right, let's do a little test here, right? And you don't need to be nervous. It's nothing like there's no right or wrong, but let's see how, on a scale from 1 to 10, how does this picture make you feel? From 1 being like really shit or just not good at all, probably shouldn't have said that, to 10, amazing, love it, absolutely great. From 1 to 10, how does this picture make you feel? Just pop it into the chat. 2. 3? Yeah. Okay, how does that make you feel? 100,000. Yeah. Who here sees the difference? And again, I'm not saying data are not important. Read that paper, it's actually a really good paper. But that's not how you get the majority of the people to start loving and caring for XXX whales in my in my sense here. Beyond numbers, yeah. Second one, how does that make you feel? Well, now we rephrase that from a level from 1 to 10. How much do you feel? Full stop. Not good or bad, but how much do you feel? How much connection do you have to that when you see that, when you read that? Just how do you connect from 1 to 10? Super shocked, 10. Let's go to that. How does that make you feel? And we can maybe, let's see if I can share it with you. Let's see. Never mind. Yeah. So there's a video behind that, and you might have seen it or not. It was in Australia where a calf got entangled. It's the same story, but compared from reading something to actually seeing it and seeing that little calf trying to breathe but just couldn't quite pop up, there's a bit of a difference as well. Yeah. All right. Humans are emotional beings. Full stop. Could stop right there, right? But we don't. So, humans are emotional beings. I'll just quickly go back to my slides. There we go. So, how do we create connection, right? Because that's ultimately what we want to achieve. We want to create this connection so people start to care, so they protect what we love as well. All right. Well, honestly, I just wanted to make sure you're still there, and I know you love whales, otherwise you wouldn't be here, so because that's important now, so listen. But in the end, it does have something to do with it. People, again, are focused on themselves. Most people are primarily preoccupied with their own lives, problems, and experiences. So what do? I make it relevant for them. That's why I put a picture of a whale and not of a, I don't know, heavy machinery in there, right? We make it relevant for them. All right. Are you still with me? Pop a quick yes into the chat. Oh, all right. We make it relevant for them. So, to do that, we need to know a little bit about humans, people in general. And we look at the pyramid of needs, the Maslow hierarchy of needs also called. And if you look at that, you have at the bottom a very basic needs, just really safety, food, we need to breathe, survival in the end. Then we have psychological needs, and at the very top, self-fulfillment needs. So nothing will ever reach the top if the basics are not there. So if at the top is something like conservation efforts, because that's something we care about, where other people maybe not so much. If people struggle with their basic needs, they will never care about them, right? For other people, like you and me, it might look more like that. But again, for most people, and let's be honest, for all of us, it looks like that. We need to cover those basic needs. All right, so that's when information design, my background, comes handy. Information design is how to design complex information in an easy and understandable way for a specific target group. Okay, one more time. How to design complex information in an easy and understandable way for a specific target group. All right, practical example. What did I do with We Are Tuhora? All right, let's look at that. Our complex information, if you want, was we have whales that are hurting, that are getting entangled, that might be in captivity, whales that are not well, and we want to get them thriving. That is our complex information. So whaleness is the well-being created by whales for the planet and the people. So I want to share a little experience, a little moment with you when I first experienced wellness for the first time. I was living in Munich and working as a designer at the time, just sitting on my desk on an open plan office. If you ever worked in an open plan office, it's not that much fun. I was trying to focus, but there was a lot going on around those days, and I had this deadline coming up and I really needed to get it done, but somewhere over here someone really hammered on their keyboard, someone over there was laughing hysterically, it was just someone in that corner slammed the door, it was just getting too much. And I really started to get really nervous and I couldn't quite breathe anymore. I really felt how there was a knot getting tighter and tighter, and I stopped breathing, and something within me told me to grab my headphones, to put them on, and to put on the songs of whales. And in that moment, I started to breathe again. I started to relax, that knot kind of released. I could focus again. That was the first time that I actively experienced the power of whaleness. Well-being created by whales for the planet, but also for the people, for you and me. Right? So, coming back to our pyramid of needs, any idea where wellness could sit? Well, if we look at it a little bit closer, it sits actually right here. So if wellness is the well-being for the planet and the people, it's pretty basic. It might sound fancy, it's all created by whales and it can make it sound really cool and amazing, and, you know, but in the end, in that moment, I struggled to breathe, right? I didn't feel emotionally safe or healthy anymore in that moment. It's a very basic need. So to go a little bit deeper into that and to kind of back that up as well, because don't just believe me what I'm saying, right? There is actually research that shows that whales help to capture as much CO2 as 4 Amazon forests. whales also help to produce 50% of the oxygen we breathe. That is every second breath. So in the end, pretty basic, right? Pretty basic need. They really help the planet to thrive. And what we at WOS is doing, we create immersive educational events. So just as an example, this one was a really cool event where we had a unfortunate sperm whale stranding locally here in Christchurch. And after a while, I think it was a few months later, we hosted an event where people could come and put on a headset and actually walk around that stranded whale and look at it and really connect with it. And while they were doing it, we were putting through our speakers some information about whales, how they help us in our ecosystem, how they help the planet. Like facts like the whale pump, you might know all those things. We're not going deep into that now because otherwise we'll sit here the whole night. But immersive educational events where people really start to connect, and again we make it relevant for the target group. So those people, those local people, they were actually quite affected in some way by that stranding as well. A lot of them were emotionally connected, but they couldn't quite go there and really look at it because there was obviously some boundaries, so you couldn't go there. And it really helped those people as well to put a closure on it, and at the same time they learned a lot about it. So yeah, immersive educational events. And again, use data. The last person to say don't data bad. No, but data good. Use data, but use data to tell stories, right? To create connection. All right. Then if we look at the well-being creative for the people, spending time in nature and even just listening to the sounds of nature helps to increase your happiness hormone and decreases your cortisol levels, your stress hormone. There are studies that show that spending time in nature and listening to the sounds of nature has those amazing effects on our nervous system. Amazing. What are we doing? We are hosting immersive well-being events. For example, one of our all-time classics is the whale sound journey. It's really cool. People get to listen to humpback whale song. They go into some kind of a meditative state and go through a little, just a really cool journey within themselves. They dive deeper, they connect with nature, whales, and themselves. And again, we use the data to create something really important. We make them feel. But going back one more time, we make it relevant for the target group again, because the people, remember our specific target group person who's like, I don't care. Well, because she feels overwhelmed. She's disconnected from nature, from anything. She's like stressed. She might feel anxiety, right? She has other problems than worrying about the well-being of something that's not connected to her. That's why we make it important for the target group. If you're interested, we have a sound journey online coming up tomorrow, actually at 7 p.m. New Zealand time. Make a screenshot very quick. 3, 2, 1. All right. Again, use data to make them feel. And then never ignore your wider target audience. So we talked a lot about this person who's feeling disconnected and might have some mental health issues, but there's also other people. And if we look again at our pyramid of needs, we would be stupid to only target that one person, right? So we have our target group, which we talked about right down here, but we also talk to all of our whale lovers, and they sit up here. Why? Because they want to have a sense of belonging. They want to express, hey, look, those are my friends. I love whales. They want to create this connection. They want to have maybe respect for their conservation efforts, right? They want to express themselves. So those are all those higher needs. And how do we that? Pretty simple. We have a sustainable whale merchandise collection, which is actually really cool. And those are, again, relevant for the wider target group. Oh my God, I love the whales, you and me. And yeah, they're just really cool. They have actually at the back the song of a humpback whale, again, connecting our whale sound journeys here as well, because many people, that's how they come to us. Yeah, and it's just a really cool product. So here's a QR code if you're interested to learn more. Screenshot, quick. 3, 2, 1. All right. People who have a connection, they care. And people who care, they protect what they care about. That's why we want to create connection. All right. So what do we have to do to improve our conservation outcome? Get the community involved, yeah? Definitely getting people to connect to the issue. Yes. All right, let's look at that on another level. What's that? Who knows which whale that is? No, a speed whale. I'm sure there was supposed to be a sperm whale, so that counts. Yes, it's A, but they can be quick too. I love that. Yes, sperm whale. And what do sperm whales, why are they so special? I mean, just when we look at them physically, what do we see? Any ideas? The size. You're towards the right direction, but not quite. If we look a little bit closer, there's one part of their body that's really big compared to other animals or whale sizes. It's the head. But again, if you look at a sperm whale, and we're now going to talk about the sperm whale model, you could technically divide them in 3 almost equal parts. The head, the torso, and the tail part, right? So the sperm whale model looks at those 3 parts, and we have the brain, right? Then in the torso, that's where the heart sits. And then we have the tail, which creates movement, forward movement. So we have the 3 equal parts. What could that mean? Well, the brain, education, right? Because we learn in our brains, we create new connections, neural connections. Then connection itself in the heart, that's more like our emotional connection. And then last but not least, the tail, which creates the movement with action, right? So if we look at the sperm whale model, and that's just to keep it really easy and understandable, there's the information that's not coming through. We have the 3 parts we have to focus on. We want to educate people, we want to create connection, and we want to create action. So most people, they are educating. That's what we see a lot. Save the whales because they're important. Save the whales because blah, 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 blah. Or what we see a lot too is you should do this, you should do this, you should do this to create a change and this to create a change. So action plans, action steps, right? Call to actions if you want. But there's the important part missing. We have the education, we have the action, but what's missing? Put it in the chat. It's so obvious what's missing. It's the connection. Right. It's the connection, right? So we need all parts. We need all parts. Not just the education, not just the action steps, and also not just the connection. Because if you feel connected, but no one is telling you like what to do next, you're also really lost. So we need all parts. Education, connection, and action. So, your turn. In your area of field, how can you apply the sperm whale model to elevate the conservation outcome? What I'd like you to do, if we look at the sperm whale model, how can you elevate your education game? How can you elevate your connection game? And how can you elevate your action game? So those 3 steps: educate, connect, and action. How can you apply the sperm whale model to elevate the conservation outcome? Or if you feel right now a little bit overwhelmed with all 3, focus on one. The one that is missing so far, how can you increase that? So if you do a lot of education, if you do a lot of action, how can you do more connection? All right, what do we have? Social media posts or stories to educate, community events to educate and connect people to the real world space and area of conservation. Yes. Which would also in the end result in action. Yeah. Cool. Same. Yeah. Cool. Keep thinking about that. Even when that call is over today, the mission is never over. So, again, one more time, I show it to you. Education, connection, and action. And it's so simple. If you ever forget the words, just think of that big whale that is pretty much 3 separate parts. The head with the brain, the torso with the heart, and the tail that creates movement, right? All right. People don't care about what you say or do, but they care about how you make them feel. So make them feel. Great connection. All right. I'm pretty much getting towards the end of this presentation today. So if you have any questions, now is the time. I am more than happy to answer whatever I can. And also for those who watch this whole thing afterwards, feel free to get in contact with me through beatahura.com or juliagrater.com. You will also find the same website under the whalewoman.com. Actually, no, whalewoman.com without the. But yeah, feel free to reach out, feel free to connect on social media. I'm all about connection, collaboration. If there is anything that you think we can do together, reach out.